Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Caprill. I have a confession to make. When it comes to a certain area of personal finance, I have personally broken just about every rule. I'm talking about cars. Don't ask me why. Well, I kind of know why. But for my entire life, even when I could barely afford it, I've always bought brand new cars. I think maybe because as a kid we never had one and I just wanted to do that. Now, logically, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because when you look at the markup of brand new cars, especially when you look at what a 1-year-old car costs in comparison, same car but a year later, it really doesn't make sense to buy a new car. The most logical way to do things financially is go out and buy a used car that's maybe a year, 2 years old. It hasn't been beaten up or anything like that. You'll pay a fraction. I mean, you'll save a lot of money, particularly now when cars are, it's not unusual to see cars 50, 60,000 today. And you can get away, with a much lower price. Another thing that I have done a few times is I have leased a car. As Dave Ramsey calls it, a car fleece. And yes, that is not the most economical way to do it. However, I could afford it. So I did it. Now, I have gotten that completely out of my system. So I have a lease that's coming up. And I'm going to go buy a car. Now, I hate buying cars. And I think I'm going to hate buying used cars even more because you're targeting one specific car. It's not like you're going to a dealer and say, okay, here's what I want, and they go get it for you. No. I'm going to be out there looking for one specific car. I may give up. I may get so frustrated that I will just, fine, I'll go get a new car. I might do that. All right. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I get that question a lot. Should I own? Should I lease? Should I buy new? My answer is, look, you can do whatever you can afford to do because if buying the brand new car, which does cost more, if that's not going to ruin you financially, well, then go do it. It's a luxury. Okay, that's okay. But if you want the most economical answer, well, if you do buy a brand new car, drive it into the ground. Keep it forever. But even better, particularly since cars today last so much longer than they used to. I mean, 100,000 miles now, you're kind of just getting broken in. But no, what I would rather suggest you do is buy a car that's 1 or 2 years old and drive that into the ground. But you know what? If the interior starts to look bad and you don't like it anymore, let's talk about it. If it's in your plan, do it. But if there's better use of your money, then you should consider that as well. It's all about what are your options. And if you're going to go, there's always consequences to whatever action ultimately that we take. Now, leasing is not a great deal because it's interesting. So my car lease will be up and I will be under the miles that I bought. So the first thing is I overpaid for the lease because I wanted 15,000 miles a year. And it looks like we're going to come in about 5,000 miles under that. And they're not going to give me that money back. On the other hand, had I gone over, I think I would have paid 25 cents per mile. All right, so that's not going to be an issue for me. But what's interesting now is if I was to buy that car from the bank, I could basically get the same exact car with half the miles on it for less if I just go out on the open market. So even the purchase price within the lease is not a good deal. Now, again, I've done it before and I may lease again in the future just for the pure convenience of it all. I hate buying cars. I hate looking. Some people love that stuff and that's great. Go for it. Just understand what your options are as you go forward with it. But I don't think you have to do everything the most economical way. Just understand the cost that you're picking up and just make sure that you're deriving some benefit from it that you feel is worth it. All right. I get the question a lot. Buying a car, leasing a car. It's one I just want you to know. I try to follow all the advice I give you, but in that one, I've never really followed it. But I'm going to try. I'll keep you posted. We'll see how it goes. Take care.